The Deathwatch warriors are perceived as the elite of the elite, because by many aspects, they outclass the Space Marines of the other chapters. Just like the members of the Adeptus Astartes are recruited among the most promising warriors of humanity. This chapter is composed only of the most talented and formidable Space Marines, making it an incomparable force. The Deathwatch is organized in small elite companies. However, these soldiers are not recruited on a single chapter world, nor on planets rich in quality genetic reserves. The organization is composed of Space Marines from other chapters, who swore to pay a dime in soldiers at the endless war against the aliens. These ranks only include heroes, because each of them has already proven that he was a successful Xenos hunter before even starting his training within the Deathwatch. A battle brother who is illustrated by his combativeness or his ingenuity against the aliens will be unmistakably noticed by the officers of his chapter. It is generally advisable that his captain wears a warrant of his expertise, that his apothecary attests to his irreproachable physical skills, and that his chaplain judges the strength of his character and the purity of his soul. If the three officers agree, the chapter master is then consulted, and if he approves, the fate of the potential recruit is sealed. Although it may take years before this recruit actually joins the Deathwatch to ensure the Long Watch, she will become one of the most eminent defenders of the Imperium, dedicating every moment of the Watch to a single goal, the eradication of Xenos enemies. Most of the chapters of the Imperium detach brothers from the Deathwatch only after a ceremony to mark their departure. The Ultramarines gather as many members as possible from the chosen brother's company to greet him one last time as he boards the Black Thunderhawk to take him to his new life. The Dark Angels let him go only after he has renewed his allegiance to the chapters, reminding him that he must never reveal certain hidden truths. But for all the chapters, this is a solemn moment. Everyone knows that there is a good chance of never seeing this brother again. He flies to some distant stars to join the front of an unknown war. It is a sign of respect for the one who, like a martyr, goes against a fateful destiny that his armor is painted in black. As soon as he arrives at the Fortress of War, the recruit undergoes an exhausting regime of physical and mental conditioning that will lead him to the pinnacle of efficiency. Before his intronation within the Deathwatch, the Space Marine may have already faced dozens, if not hundreds, of extraterrestrial species. But thousands of other unknown creatures still haunt the dark corners of the galaxy. During a harassing procedure of hypno-indoctrination, the subconscious of the recruit is filled with all the details that the Deathwatch has glanced at about the nemesis of humanity. Thus, even when the enrollee faces a Xenos opponent for the first time, his weaknesses and vulnerabilities rise to the surface of his mind. During this training, as before each of his subsequent deployments, each warrior has access to the armory of his fortress and chooses the war instruments that suit him best. While technological innovation is almost a heresy in most branches of the Imperium, it is not prescribed within the Deathwatch. Thus, the techno-priests of the Depthus Mechanicus were able to deploy a much greater creative freedom when they designed the arsenal of this chapter. In addition, the Deathwatch re-evaluates and refines its mission tactics after each new conflict, and its equipment is constantly evolving because it is subject to the same rigorous tests. But the most emblematic weapon of the chapter remains the bolter artifacts. A more sophisticated variant of the standard bolter found within the Depthus Astartes, it features the particularity of being able to fire different types of ammunition, each being selected at the time of firing according to the nature of the target to cause it the maximum damage. Even heavy weapons and aircraft guns specific to this chapter can be adjusted to fire various types of ammunition or energy beams. This is a necessary measure, because the Deathwatch rarely knows the exact composition of the opposing force and considers versatility as its best weapon. It is not uncommon for all members of the same squad to carry a different weapon, but the number of ammunition that a bolter artifacts can fire already theoretically allows all members of the Deathwatch to be able to snatch the victory against any alien. Among the recruits integrating the Deathwatch, followed a dark path before reaching the gates of the Fortress of the Get. These strange warriors, called Black Shields, never reveal their real name and do not wear the heraldic seal of their chapter. Any icon, color, or writing that would identify them has been erased from their armor and they wear the noble Deathwatch. Even if this happens quite rarely, a black shield who enters a fortress of the Get must make an official request to its master. The one who presides over the Long Watch has the right to lead them, but the skill of an experienced space marine has so much value, and the fight against the Xeno is so desperate that it hardly ever happens. What led the warrior to make this drastic choice will remain a mystery, and within the Deathwatch, there will be a tacit agreement on the fact that the question will never be asked. It may be the last representative of a chapter destroyed in the field of honor, the last loyalist member of a renegade chapter, or even one of these legendary individuals lost in the mists of time and who would be executed on the field if his previous allegiance had been revealed. But whatever his origins, the austerity of a black shield is only equaled by his desire to prove his loyalty to the Imperium. Once the Space Marine has completed his initial training within the Deathwatch, he puts aside the previous rank he had within his chapter and is assigned to a squad called Kill Team. Each of these groups is a mix of battle brothers from different chapters, up to 10 sometimes. Each one having his culture, his specialty, and his personal view of the art of war. This can naturally generate frictions and rivalries, but the members of these teams share the same ideals and have sworn the same oath: to defend humanity at all costs. Over time, the Space Marines who fight together within these kill teams inevitably forge bonds against adversity. Each team learns to respect and even to trust the different methods and abilities of the elements that compose it. It is a kill team forged in a weapon far superior to the simple sum of its components that plunge into the pit of battle. As the armorers know, the best blades are made of alloys that must be bent, hammered, and soaked before being considered as masterpieces. The same goes for the kill teams of the Deathwatch. Each squad is like a unique and exceptional sword whose thread has been sharpened so finely that it can decapitate an Xenos empire with a single well-placed blow.